He who brought the treasure of divine love and was filled with compassion and mercy. Whereas such a personality as Srinivasa Acharya gone, where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga? the reservoir of all wonderful qualities. Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. Hare Krishna. So these are the sentiments of separation exemplified by the pure devotees towards the Lord, or even exemplified by the pure devotees towards other pure devotees. So today is quite befitting for us to absorb ourselves in the lila, the storyline, and also the pastimes of those two great stalwarts, Srila Gauridas Pandit and Srila Rupa Goswami. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjara Sharakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Svavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakala Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Samjivam Sadvaitam Saravatam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Vitam Shri Vishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Vigrapate Gopesha Gaurikakam Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamshakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, yes, Shri Gauridas Pandit, such a great personality. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned that, as we know, Mahaprabhu is a gigantic tree. He represents a tree, the tree of devotional service. And the main trunk, who is the main trunk? In the tree there's trunk, there's branches, sub-branches, twigs. The main trunk is Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So who is Lord Nityananda Prabhu? Coming up very soon on Friday? Lord Balaram. Just like Lord Krishna, he has his own gopas. It's called Dwadasha Gop, the 12 gopas of Lord Krishna. In the same way, Lord Balaram, he has also his Dwadasha Gop, the 12 gopas surrounding Lord Balaram. So, Subal Sakha. We have heard of Subal in the Krishna Lila, in the Krishna book, 10th canto. So, Subal Sakha came down in Gaurila as Gauridas Pandit. He's directly a direct companion of Lord Balaram. So, Krishna Varnam, Visha Krishnam, Sangu Pangastra Parshadam, Yagir Sankitan Prayer, Yajantihi, Sumedasaha. Those who are Sumedaha, very intelligent, they will perform Sankirtan Yagya. Just like we did, Hare Krishna, in Sankirtan means Samyak, together. And they will glorify Krishna Varnam Visha Krishnam. Those two syllables, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. But there will be someone who will keep on repeating those two syllables, Krishna, Krishna. But it's not black. His color is not black. Krishna. Whose color is it? Gold. This is gold. This is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Gauranga Mahaprabhu always recites Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. But he himself, even though Krishna's Swarup is Krishna himself, it is not black. Sango Pangastra Parashadam. He comes along with his astra. Astra means weapons. We may be thinking he's got rifles. Be careful, man. This is not a terrorist movement here. Sangu Pangastra Parashada means he comes with his companions. Anga. For instance, Lord Nityananda is an Anga of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Parashadam, Vishnu Parshad, Vishnu Parikar, they are directly companions of the Lord. They are not even what we speak of being Nityabadha, they are directly part of the intimate entourage of the divine couple or Krishna Balaram. They come down on us. So Gauridas Pandit is on that caliber. He's Subala Sakha. So basically, those companions of the Lord, they precede the Lord, they also appear while he's on earth, and they also come after. It's like a stage program. Some people prepare the stage is going on, the drama is going on, and after the stage also, they still appear. To pursue the Lila, to pursue the teachings. So Gauridas Pandit appeared at the same time. He's a contemporary. His father was Shri Kamsari Mishra. His mother Shri Kamal Devi. And you will see his intimate connection. Their parents had 6 brothers. And he's the younger brother of Surya Sarakel. Suryadas Sarakel. Suryadas Sarakel is none other than, anyone has a clue here? Suryadas Sarakel is the father-in-law of Lord Nityananda. Thank you. So try to understand, Suryadas Sarakel is the big brother of Gauridas Pandit. And he had 2 daughters. What are the 2 daughters? Very good. Actually, originally, he was going to marry Sri Janava. And during the marriage ceremony, they had a feast. What kind of feast they had, just imagine. And Vasudha is the younger sister of Janava. So lots of guests, lots of prasad, and lots of servants to serve. And of course, Vasudha is the younger sister. So she's serving herself because that's the marriage of her sister, of her big sister. So she's serving. And while she's serving, the veil of her sari happened to drop down. Immediately, she was caught up with both hands because she was serving. So very quickly, she manifested two other hands to put back her sari on. Very like a glimpse. But Lord Nityananda he saw what happened. So immediately, he pleaded to Suryadas Sarakela, can I also marry her? So the father agreed. So yes, she can also marry her. So that in this way he married both ladies. And there, of course, we have to understand at this level, Lord Balaram is Vishnu Tattva. Those ladies are, do you think they are Jiva Tattvas? They are Shakti Tattvas. They are personified energy of the Lord. So this Gauridas Pandit used to live in Shalagram, if you can still visit. And after some time, he moved to Ambika Kalna. I don't know if you have been there, some of you. It's called the Ambika Kalna Temple. It's a firefly darshan. Firefly darshan. They never show the deities for too long. Why is that? They're afraid of something. Yes, we're going to discuss now. Why? They never show the deities too long. Because they're afraid, the pujari is afraid. Since that time, from the Gaurila, they're afraid that, oh, someone may come and the deities may jump in the heart of that visitor. See? And we're going to see there's some reasons for that. Let's hear the kata. So, shortly before Mahaprabhu took sannyas, in which year did he take sannyas, Mahaprabhu? We have to forget all the stories and the dates that you learn at school. But this battle, that battle, replace it with datation or dates pertaining to Gaurila or Krishna. This is the best way to eradicate your school data. 1510. He took sannyas in 1510. Shortly before that, he came with Nityananda Prabhu. He came to that village, Kalna, Ambika Kalna, by boat. So when he arrived there, he knew that his dear devotee, Gauridas Pandit, is living there. So they paddled in some kind of a boat themselves, the two lords, they were paddling on both sides. And when he arrived in the house of Gauridas Pandit, he gave that oar to the Gauridas. He said, with that oar you can paddle through the samsara. You can just paddle through the ocean of birth and death. And take people with you. So this is, and today itself, if you go to that temple, I've been there, it's not far from Mayapur, you will find that oar as given by Lord Mahaprabhu to Gauridas Pandit. You will find also a handwritten manuscript Gita, Bhagavad Gita, written by Mahaprabhu in that temple. You should go. When you go to Mayapur, try to make it a point to go. It's not far. It's not far from Mayapur.
What is it called?
Ambika Kalna.
You stop on the train.
Yeah. Prabhu will tell you he's been there. Okay. So then, can you imagine just try to depict or try to visualize the situation. Mahaprabhu is about to, he's telling the news, he's breaking the news to Gauridas Pandit. I'm going to take sannyas. Just imagine the devastation. They are intimate personalities from the spiritual world. When you take sannyas in those days, means you may never see the person again. We are in the beginning of the 16th century. Gauridas Pandit breaks down. He's shedding tears profusely. He's pleading the two lords, please don't go. Whatever it takes, don't go. You remain here forever. And of course we know that the Lord is caught by the love. Krishna Karshini. He cannot leave. When you love Krishna very much, this is the last level of love. Shri Krishna Karshini. He cannot leave. Cannot leave you. So before such a display of love, of pure love for the two lords, they decide to stay. And then he goes don't trick me, just like you did to the gopis with this Bhav Murti. Remember when the gopis in the dead of night, they went to see Lord Krishna, and Krishna told them, you please go back, it's not proper. So he was testing them. So in the same way, Guridas Pandit is saying, don't trick me with this same feature, be careful. So I'm petitioning to you, please, you stay. You are the deliverers of the fallen. If you can deliver me, this will establish your supremacy as Patita Prabhu. So then Prabhu, he said, well, you have to give up this idea. Because you can serve me in my deity form, just like we're doing here. I'll serve you now. No way. And Gauridas Pandit was so absorbed in separation we discussed. Even though he's not left, already he's absorbed in separation. And this is, you have seen in Vrindavan, Prem Sarovar, there's a kund, a Sarovar. And you've been there? Srimati Radharani is sitting next to Krishna. Already she's shedding tears of Viraha Bhav, Vipralamba Bhav. They are next to each other. So why is that happening? Because in anticipation of the imminent separation, already she's shedding tears. And when Krishna saw that Srimati Radharani is shedding tears, he also joined with his own tears. That became the Prem Sarovar. So in the same way, Gauridas Pandit, anticipating the imminent taking sannyas of Mahaprabhu, he cannot relate to that happening, that the two lords are going to meet. So what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doing? And Nitya, and also Nitai. They became 4. 2 times 2. The 2 lordships plus the 2 deities. 2 deities manifested from themselves. So now they are 4 in front of Gauridas Pandit. And Lord Gaunitaya are telling Gauridas, you please pick up the 2 that you want. Which one you want? You choose, but make sure you feed us. So Gauridas Pandit was perplexed. But finally, he was totally in fits of love and joy. He stopped shedding tears at least, and he started cooking immediately. He started cooking. I have to retain them with my food, with my prasad. And finally, he picked up 2 out of the 4. So you stay. So now they're staying. The 2 lordships. Actually, this is the proof. This is a lesson for us. They are non-different. The Alshavigraha is non-different from their lordships. We admit philosophically, intellectually, yes, I understand. But it's really non-different. This is Alshavigraha. It's non-different. The deities has been made according to depictions and descriptions given in the Shastra. Who was the first person who installed deities on this planet? Shortly after the departure of Lord Krishna? Vrajanath. Who was he?
Of Mathura.
He was the great-grandson. He was the great-grandson of Lord Krishna, actually. Because he had seen Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna was his great-grandfather. So he knew how he looked like. So when he had deities installed and carved, he made sure they were exactly the same features. So since then, the deities have been carved along those lines, along those descriptions. So now they are together, under Gaunitai and Gauridas Pandit in the house in Ambika Kalna. And they are reveling in pastimes of love, because sometimes Lord Gaunitai would reveal their Krishna Balaram deity forms. And immediately, Gauridas Pandit would manifest his Subal form. And they would start frolicking in the fields, playing in the fields, with their buffalo horn, peacock feathers, just like a goat. So he used to cook lavish preparations. But he grew old. We have to understand those levels, those devotees, just like Rupa Goswami, we're coming to that. I don't know. They have Sadakarup and Siddharup. So, starting from level of Raganuga Bhakti, they can manage to perform devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smananam, Parasivanam, in their Sadakarup, just like we have a Sadakarup, all of us here. But we are practicing. But those devotees, since they are Vishnu Parikar, or at least very advanced, Raganuga Bhakti, onwards, Bhav, Prem, they also have a Siddharup. Siddharup means spiritual body, Siddha Deha. In that Siddha Deha, when they meditate, they keep to themselves a few hours a day, could be during the night, could be during the day. In that Siddha Deha, they join the spiritual world. And they perform in internal leelas with the divine couple. So this is exactly the case here. Of course, Gauridas Pandit was not a gopi, he was a gop, Subal gop. So even during the day, sometimes they would enter into their lila, internal lilas, just like they had in the spiritual world with Krishna and Balaram. So he was going so old, then he used to cook so much, and he was growing tired. So Gauri told him, because he's speaking to the deities, just like we're speaking to each other. A great devotee can speak to the deities directly. And then there was a little trick of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. He refused eating. So then Gauridas Pandit became alarmed. Why don't you eat? Because if you get happiness by not eating, why do you have me cook in the first place? After that he became silent. So Gauri told him, we're trying to make you understand that you should cook less. You're so tired. We cannot bear that you become tired like this with old age. So then Gauridas told him, okay, for today it's done, I cooked already. From tomorrow I will just cook sak. Sak means leafy vegetable, it's like spinach. And the two lordships, they started to laugh. So now let's come to the story why the firefly darshan. You may wonder. He had a disciple. He had many disciples, Gauridas Pandit. One disciple was called Hridayananda. So we are coming close to Guru Purnima. They are already celebrating Guru Purnima. Mahaprabhu was still around. So, because Gauridas Pandit had many disciples, he told Hridayananda, I'm going to go away for a few days, I have to visit my disciples. You please start taking over, you start organizing Guru Purnima. So, Hridayananda is waiting for he's preparing, but he's waiting for the return of his Guru. His Guru doesn't show up. So he started to send out the invitations for Guru Purnima. Then the Guru came back, right before Guru Purnima. Gauridas Pandit came back. So very interesting, because the rest, the great devotees, they have twofold behavior. Internally he was very happy with the demeanor of his disciple, because he's preparing Guru Purnima. But externally he was furious. Why? How come he couldn't wait for me? And he banished him. He said, you have your... And what happened is Hridayananda, he prepared the festival on the banks of the Ganges. So then, externally, Gauridas Pandit was not happy, and he told him, okay, you have your festival on the Ganga, and I'll have mine in my house. So he was not happy. So Gauridas was extremely sorry, and he fell at his guru's feet, begging forgiveness. But anyway, since he was ordained by his guru to carry on with his festival, he had it on the banks of the Ganga. And they had a wondrous kirtan, roaring kirtan. So much so that at one point, the deities, Gauri, they joined that kirtan on the banks of the Ganga. Meanwhile, in the Guru Purnima happening in the house of Gauridas Pandit, they had also the kirtan, and they had also the festivities. At one point they wanted to offer the bowl, open the deities, the curtain. No deities. Where are the deities? Gauridas Pandit is furious, taking a stick, going on the Ganga, on the banks of the Ganga. When the Gauri saw the Guru, the master of the house, he jumped in the house of Ritananda. And then he became called Hridaya Chaitanya, just like our GBC. So can you imagine? This is the level of pure devotee dealings. So Gauridas Pandit, overwhelmed with love, he embraced his dearmost disciple. You're such a lofty devotee. You're such a full of love, overwhelmed with love. So these are the dealings. Okay. So, and by the way, to carry on the lineage, we find Gauridas Pandit, Hridaya Chaitanya, and Hridaya Chaitanya initiated in turn a very great devotee whose name is very good, Shamananda Pandit, and Shamananda, the famous trio, Srinivasacharya and Shamananda Pandit. And those three were responsible for launching the Sankirtan movement, book distribution. And so you can see our line. This is our line. We should be knowing our line very well. This is our real heritage. To know about Marignan 1515, who cares? Because in France, when you go to school, I guess it's the same everywhere. They load you up with data, useless data. More we can absorb ourselves, the better. Okay, so Rupa Goswami. So, yes. So, Shri Rup Manjaripad, Semo Sampad, Semo Bhajan Pujan. So we know this Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. This is the leader, by all means, of the whole Gaudiya Math. Not only ISKCON, just like ISKCON is, Prabhupada said, it's the branch of the tree of Mahaprabhu. But Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur initiated how many disciples? 60,000 disciples. 6 times more than Srila Prabhupada. So of course they also initiated, in turns, those disciples initiated, their disciples initiated, just like in ISKCON. But unfailingly, the key person on top of the whole Gaudiya Math is Srila Rupa Goswami. No one will ever dare to bypass Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami basically is the general of the Gaudiya Math. So it's important that he's our group leader. It's important that we delve into his life, his teachings, all the books. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Upadeshamrita. Srila Prabhupada would have translated many more, but by dearth of time, he could not. He left early. All the books, all the references in terms of Shastra basically are coming from Rupa Goswami. So Srila Prabhupada used to say the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the law book of Islam. The law book. Who has written those books? So we have to remember the context of the 16th century. Calcutta doesn't exist at this time. Calcutta is a very recent city. Actually, Calcutta was created from 5 villages. Those villages belong to the ancestors of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Calcutta is only about 3 centuries old. So from those 5 villages, they clustered together and became Calcutta. In those days, what was the capital of Bengal? Capital of Bengal in the 16th century? Ramakeli. Ramakeli. Who was living there? Is it a nice fellow who was living there? Mahushen Shah. He's got a full name. Mahushen Shah. Yes. Yes. Batsa. Mahushen Shah. Batsa. He had a minister, he had a guru actually. Also Muslims have guru, we should not forget. It's called a Mulabi. Mulabi is a guru in Muslim. And his Mulabi, his guru, he had a particular feature, I would say. He was able to see the future. And he told him, my dear master, my dear disciple, there's a way you can make your kingdom flourishing, thriving like anything. There's 2 boys, Brahmin boys, nearby in the vicinity. If you hire those 2, your kingdom will flourish. Who are those 2? Rupa and Sanatan. We have to understand, Rupa and Sanatan, obviously they are associates from the spiritual world. They are Manjaris, Shri Rupa Manjari Pad. They master 5, 6, 7, 8 languages. Sanskrit, Persian, Arabic, Sanskrit, Bengali, you name it. Plus, they were extremely equipoised. They were the emblem of Brahminical culture. We have to understand the Muslims are not so foolish actually. Who was in the court of the Muslims in those days? The staff members of the court of the Muslim. Were they Muslim themselves or Hindus? What do you think? Hindus. Why? Why? You have any clue? Because even a Muslim would not trust another Muslim. You know, I can be stabbed in the back in no time. So they used to hire actually Hindus because we can count on them. They are diligent. They are trustworthy. So when the Guru, the Mulabi, he told Hussain Shah, yes, you should hire those 2. Then you, as ministers, then your kingdom will flourish. So he did. But for that matter, the price to pay, what was the price to pay? We are in 16th century Bengal. Can you imagine?
You from the Brahmins family?
Yes. They will be ostracized. Ostracized means excommunicated practically. Just imagine you are excommunicated from Islam. You did a big fault. But they didn't do anything wrong, but they knew if they don't comply, there will be reactions. They are living in Muslim domination. We cannot deny it. There will be severe repercussions. So for that matter, they accepted unwillingly. The father of Rupa and Sanatan, he had many sons. Anupam was younger. Anupam became the father of Jiva Goswami, Sri Ballabha. He could not even believe what my sons did. They were ostracized. And of course, Mahaprabhu was already there. Sanatana Goswami was born in 1488, 2 years after Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami was born in 1491, so 5 years after Mahaprabhu. So they are contemporary. They had heard that Mahaprabhu is rolling in ecstasy, not far, in Navadvip. But many times they had written letters to Mahaprabhu. Did Mahaprabhu reply to those letters? Never. Finally, after many years, one letter came. He gave a beautiful clue, a beautiful hint how they should behave in separation. What is that line Mahaprabhu told Rupa and Sanatan? Actually, Rupa and Sanatan, those two names came later. Mahaprabhu gave those two names. Because they had been so much taken in the fold of the Muslim emperor that he had given them Muslim names. Can you imagine? Sakar Malik, Ekas, Dadir Kas. They had given them their own names. So they were considering themselves extremely lowly. So one day a letter came from Mahaprabhu. What did he say in the letter?
About wife who is got some beloved, so she does her duty more carefully, to hide it.
Yeah,
Husband doesn't notice it.
Thank you. That is the right answer. Did anyone hear? So I will repeat. Mahaprabhu told them, you have to behave just like a paramour. Paramour means, imagine a mistress, a lady, or even could be a man, but Mahaprabhu used the example of a female, the paramour. She has a lover. In her heart there's a lover, even though she's married. So he told them, you carry on, you conduct yourself, you fulfill your obligations within Varnashram. Perfectly. So no one will detect. But your heart is on your Ishtadev, object of love. Just like a paramour. She may have a lover, she's married, she's very dutifully serving her husband. But in the mind, this is what the mind counts. Krishna says in the Gita. Maya Shakta Manapalt, Yoga Yuga Madashraya. You have to fix your mind on me. Doesn't matter if externally you work for IBM. You may have to work to make a living. You know what I'm saying? So externally, yes, we may be compelled to do certain things that even we don't like. Isn't it true? To make a living, sometimes we do stuff that we don't like. Isn't it true? As Grihasthas. A lot of Grihasthas here. But internally, this is the clue of Mahaprabhu. Maya Shatamana Palt, Yoga Yuga Madashraya. Fix your mind on me. So they got the point. Meanwhile, we have to understand their mentality and their humor, their mood. They were rich. They were extremely rich. Oftentimes, if you want to keep someone near you who has got skills or talents, you bestow upon him wealth. So Ushen Shah bestowed tremendous wealth. Actually, Ushen Shah was considering those two brothers, those two personalities, as his own brothers. He told Sanatana Goswami, I'm giving the key of the kingdom to you. So I can go around and defeat other kingdoms. This is the trust Ushen Shah had in Rupa and Sanatana. So meanwhile, they have their own estate. They are living lavishly, full regalia, and a lot of land. And what they did, they converted all the gardens. They had a lot of kadamba trees. So just imagine, this is internal meditation, internal activities, and external also. They just laid out, they just manufactured, they transformed the place, a replica of Vrindavan. And of course, who are they? They are themselves Manjaris. So how far they know the land of Vrindavan. Themselves, they were reveling in pastimes of love in Krishna as Manjaris. So exactly, they replicated all these Shyamakun, Radhakun, Govardhan Hill, of course on the lesser size perhaps, but Kadamba trees everywhere, and they are just reveling and discussing Shastra, studying Shastra. And so much so that devotees from the whole India used to come. Karnataka, Navadvip, everywhere. From different parts of India. Okay, so let's jump ahead because we're running late. Mahaprabhu, as you know, he met them in Ramakeli. They were in disguise. He named them Rupa and Sanatan. And where did he send them to? For what reason? What were the missions of those two? To excavate. Lilastan is called Lilastan. Old Lilastan, Lilas, places where Krishna Balaram performed their Lilas. So then, Rupa and Sanatan are sent. They didn't go there together. Remember, Sanatan was a bit held back. He was in prison. That's a different Lila. So, Rupa Goswami went first. The years are passing by, and he has received the order. You have to excavate the Lilastan. You have to find those deities. There must be somewhere in Vrindavan. Madan Mohan, Radha Govind, Radha Gopinath. These are the three main deities of Vrindavan. And Radha Mohan are the deities of whom? Sanatana Goswami. And they exemplify which aspect of bhakti? Sambandha Gyan. That's why if you go to ISKCON Ujjain, you go to Vrindavan, of course. Radha Madan Mohan. They are there to establish our relationship with Krishna. Once we have established, or while we are in the process of establishing our relationship with Krishna, we should also consider as an Ishtadev, Abhidya Tattva, Radha Govind. And then Radha Gopinath means Prayojan Tattva. Once we are fully established, once we are practicing very well, once we have attracted Lord Krishna's compassion and mercy, Shri Radha Krishna on us, then we come to the level of Lord, Ishtadev of Lord Gopinath, Prayojan, necessity. The necessity in life is Prem Pumato Maha, pure love of God. That's the necessity fait loi en français. And there's a saying in English, in French, necessity makes law. So what is our necessity? Necessity is pure love of God. This is our necessity. We need it. It's necessary. This is the final word for human being. For any jiva actually. Prem Pumato Maha. So that's given by Raghunath Das Goswami. So what happened is, years are passing by, Rupa Goswami cannot find the deities. So he's in a melancholic mood, reverie. Then one little boy comes. Oh, Baba, Swami, what happened to you? Why are you so gloomy? Well, I've been given an order by my master to find those deities. I cannot find them. I'm so much despondent. So then the little boy tells him, well, I may help you. Gomatil is called, there's a place in Vrindavan, Gomatil. In Gomatil, there's a hill, and I noticed every day, beautiful Surabi cow, big cow is coming and pouring milk on top of the hill. There's a fissure, you know, fissure, like a little crack in the hill. She's pouring milk. You should check it out. Go and check out that sign. It's a hint. He goes. Next day he goes very early. And lo and behold, he can see a beautiful cow. Actually, it's a Surabi cow. She's pouring milk, and then she's sorted off in the bushes, disappears. Immediately Rupa Goswami, he gets the clue. He gathers villagers. Please dig here with spades. And sure enough, they came up with Shishurada Govinda. Later they were installed in. Where are they now? In Jaipur. So, and of course that boy disappeared on the spot. Nowhere to be found. Who was that boy? So we can see, these are leaders of pure devotees. So then immediately the news spread out. All the other Goswami, how many? 6 Goswamis plus all the, in Vrindavan it's called the 64 Mahants. If you go to Vrindavan, everywhere you will see 64 Mahants. Mahants means Mahatma. These are the keepers. They are in custody. Vrindavan is in custody of them. They are the guardians. They protect Vrindavan. The 64 Mahants. So they came, those who were there at the time. And immediately, Rupa Goswami dispatched a message to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where was he at the time? Puri. Mahaprabhu spent 18 years in Puri. Mahaprabhu was so much in ecstasy. So much so that he dispatched one great devotee. Prabhu is a Guru Bhai of Mahaprabhu. He was bodyguard of Mahaprabhu, very strong. Pujari also. He dispatched Kashishvar Pandit. He was a cook also. So he dispatched Kashishvar Pandit. You go to Vrindavan and help worship Shishirada Govinda. Okay, let's jump to, well, what should I do, Maharaj? Should I stop? It's 9 o'clock. Okay. So I will carry on until I'm told otherwise. 9 p.m. perhaps? I mean, it's up to you. I don't want to push it. So, later, who came? The nephew. Who is the nephew? Who is his father? Shri Ballabha Anupa. We have to understand that little boy, Jiva Goswami, was there when they met, Rupa and Sanatan, the uncles, they met Mahaprabhu. Jiva Goswami was 4. And so imagine if Mahaprabhu blessed him profusely. He told him, you will be the guardian of the Gaudiya Shastra. The Gaudiya Shastra. Prabhupada explained, Jiva Goswami is the greatest philosopher in the story of mankind, in the story of humanity. Past, present, and future. So don't even try to find someone to match him. Doesn't exist. If you go to Varanasi, and there's a university, you only study the books of Jiva Goswami. You can have a master on Jiva Goswami. How many shlokas did he write? 400,000. Okay. even more than me. I read 400,000. Anyway, it's as much as all the Puranas combined. You understand? As much as all the Puranas combined. Jiva Goswami. So then what happened, he was younger, so he joined later, especially when his father left the world. Jiva Goswami already he was a detached person, he's himself a Manjari. But when his father departed, he could not relate to the world, and he joined his uncles in Vrindavan. Then one story, beautiful Lila, Ballabhacharya. Who is Ballabhacharya? Try to rack your brain and remember. Ballabhacharya is in the line of Vishnu Swami. He met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually. He's the same age of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I won't go into that encounter because it's a different lila. But he came to Vrindavan one day. Vallabhacharya is not a small timer. Some say he's the parrot of Srimati Radharani. They say Shukdev Goswami appeared in Gauri. Some acharyas say like that. But he himself, he created his own sampradaya, the Ballabhacharya, Pushti Marg. If you go to Gujarat, practically everyone is Pushti Margi. So he came to Vrindavan, and at that time, Rupa Goswami was writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Actually, he wrote Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, at least he finished it in Terkadamba. I don't know if you've been to Terkadamba. It's a beautiful place, inland. Some say it took him 17 years, some say 7 years. There's two versions. And of course, he wrote it with Jiva Goswami. Just imagine Jiva Goswami, he was the editor of the 6 Goswamis. So when you edit a book, you have to be totally conversant with the contents of the book. Rupa Goswami is writing a book, he's giving to Jiva Goswami, please edit it. He knows my nephew can't even edit my book. So one day, he was in the process of writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Ballabhacharya is passing around. Of course, he's a very great stalwart acharya. He has created his own sampradaya. He's a contemporary of Mahaprabhu. So then, Rupa Goswami is always very meek and humble. Please have a look on my manuscript. There may be some mistakes. Maybe some mistakes. Ballabhacharya is looking at it. Yes, tiny mistakes. Meanwhile, Jiva Goswami is serving his guru, fanning his guru, and both actually. He can hear. Ballabhacharya goes to the nearby river to bathe and all. And on the pretext of fetching water, Jiva Goswami accompanies him. He's much younger. Very daring. And he said, my dear Guru, can you please pinpoint the mistakes that Rupa Goswami did in his book? Yes, such and such. Jiva Goswami, he explains to the big Pandit, Ballabhacharya, actually these are not mistakes. And he explains why. Ballabhacharya becomes totally astounded and impressed by this young man, so learned. Next day, or a few days later, whatever, comes back and praises, in front of Rupa Goswami, he praises such an erudite nephew that you have. Then, what do you think is the reaction of Rupa Goswami? I mean, if you are told, let's say a guru, Maharaj is guru, he can perhaps explain these personal things. if a guru is being told, someone is praising a disciple in front of the guru by another guru. But yet the guru finds fault with the disciple. Why? Because he didn't respect properly the grandmother of the guru. Even though he may be right. This is the point of etiquette. Etiquette doesn't mean I'm necessarily right, so I'm okay. There's Vaishnava etiquette behind. You may be right, but it's not proper. Coming from, it's called Mayada Vyatikrama. Coming on the part of a junior, it's not proper. So then Rupa Goswami told Jiva Goswami, you please depart from Vrindavan. Once you are humble enough, you come back. So Jiva Goswami obviously, immediately, he carried out the instruction, he left. And actually it's mentioned, he took shelter of an old cave, a crocodile cave. He was living in a crocodile cave for some time. Totally devastated, fasting, he became forlorn and emaciated. So much so that, by Krishna's grace, of course, Sanatana Goswami happened to pass by that place. And the villagers, they were wondering, this such a young, handsome young man is... Yes, I'll stop here. Everyone is leaving now. After that, I'll stop. This little I'll stop. So, such an handsome young man, why is he going through forceful tapasya like this? He's so much despondent. What happened? So the Sanatana Goswami, he brought him back. He gave him solace, and he brought him back to within the fold of Rupa Goswami. But before he presented it to Rupa Goswami, he told Rupa Goswami, please let's study the Shastra of the Master. They used to call Mahaprabhu the Master. What are the precepts of our philosophy? So, Rupa Goswami was enumerating all the precepts of Mahaprabhu. Then he came to that particular precept, Jivadaya. What's the meaning of Jivadaya? You have to show daya, compassion, kripa to Jiv. The Jivas, we are Jivas. But also to Jiv. So Goswami got the point and immediately he embraced him and put him back in his position. So we can be very harsh, Guru can be very harsh, but also very loving. Srila Prabhupada was as strong as thunderbolts, but as soft as a rose. And I guess your guru was also, my guru was like this also. Srila Rupa Goswami ki, Srila Gauri Pandit ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Have a good day. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Je suis surpris de cette histoire avec Vallabhacha, parce que ça ressemble drôlement à une histoire d'un Digvijay qui était venu demander à Rupa Goswami de signer.
Ça, c'est une autre. Ça, c'est carrément.
C'est carrément une autre histoire.
C'est Digvijay Pandit.
Tu sais, Rupa signe, après Jiva Goswami n'est pas content, il
c'est carrément encore.
Donc il aurait été excommunié 2 fois.
Non, mais c'est 2 histoires différentes. Vallabhacharya a rencontré Mahaprabhu.
Oui, bien sûr.
D'ailleurs, il y a eu un fameux là, il s'est fait un petit peu remettre en certains. Il disait